This is KVUE News Daybreak.
The city of Austin suing Texas over the new sanctuary city law, what Mayor Steve Adler and other city leaders are saying. Until now, no restrictions. The Central Texas city working to finally limit where convicted sex offenders can live. Plus, another blow to the women's-only screening of Wonder Woman, why an out-of-state attorney is filing a complaint with the city of Austin. Very good morning to you. Thank you for watching KVUE News Daybreak. I'm Corey Coffin in for Jenny Lee this morning. It is 7 o'clock on the dot on Saturday. Let's start with a check of our weather this morning with Lene Meyer. Lene, how's it looking outside?
Oh, Corey, so it's very humid, very warm to start our Saturday morning, and we actually have rain already on the radar. So let's go ahead and start talking about what we're seeing. An active weather day for us here in Central Texas as the sun comes up. We have some of those stratocumulus clouds, the low ones look a little gray. They're not producing any rain right now in the metro area, but we are seeing it out to the west, mid-70s across the area. Here's what we're seeing, a little disturbance coming into the hill country, so areas near in Fredericksburg, Gillespie County, also towards Mason and Llano, getting a little bit of shower activity. In fact, it's moved through Mason now into Llano, where you're seeing probably a moderate shower across the area. It doesn't look like there's any lightning with any of these, and that's good news, but scattered showers are going to be in the forecast as we move through the day today, so just be prepared for that. Temperatures are on the warm side, some rain-cooled air out in the hill country, but all of it's going to feel that warm up today. Hit and miss rain in the forecast with scattered showers also possible. Highs today reaching the upper 80s, and we keep this wet weather pattern into your Sunday as well. In fact, heavier rain on the way. We're going to discuss that in just a few minutes.
Boy, we are in it. We are in the middle of that weather season. Yes. Thanks, Lene. The city of Austin joining the legal fight against Senate Bill 4. That's the newly passed law requiring all Texas law enforcement honor ICE detainers. Austin is asking a federal judge to add the city as a plaintiff in the lawsuit filed this week by the city of San Antonio and 4 other parties. It also asks the judge to declare Senate Bill 4 unconstitutional. Mayor Steve Adler told reporters the overall basis of the lawsuit is to protect public safety. Numerous police chiefs from across Texas say Senate Bill 4 will harm the relationships they've established with immigrant communities. And Mayor Adler says SB 4 also has an impact, he says, on free speech.
This law provides that an elected official, such as myself, could be removed for office for endorsing a policy that is contrary to Senate Bill 4. Lest there be any question, I am today endorsing a policy different than that set out in Senate Bill 4.
Not only can officials be removed from office, but also face criminal charges. Another claim in Austin's lawsuit is SB 4 violates the supremacy clause of the Constitution. The U.S. government has exclusive authority over immigration, not cities. Being in the U.S. undocumented is a civil, not a criminal charge. And Austin police can't arrest someone for a civil infraction. SB 4 goes into effect September 1st. The cities and organizations suing the state are asking for a ruling before that law goes into effect. Your time is 7:03 now. Governor Greg Abbott is not making a decision this week on whether to call a special session. Earlier this week, the governor said he would decide by Friday, but yesterday his communications director said, quote, "Stay tuned, enjoy the weekend," end quote. Abbott is under pressure to bring lawmakers back to deal with unresolved debates on property taxes and the bathroom bill. City leaders in Hutto taking steps to create a law that protects children from sex offenders. City Council recently approved the first reading of an ordinance yesterday that would ban sex offenders from living within 1,000 feet of places where children gather. An estimated 50 people move to Hutto every day, and the city's police chief says some may pick Hutto not for what it has, but for what it lacks.
There had been some intel gathered from one of our CID detectives who was told by one of the offenders that Hutto was the place to come to because there is not a ordinance.
Now, 21 sex offenders currently live in the city of Hutto. A second reading and the passage of a new ordinance will likely happen on June 15th. Leaders around the world and here at home reacting to President Trump's decision to take America out of the Paris Climate Accord. ABC's Mary Bruce explains how local business leaders, mayors, and governments are saying they'll stick to the accord anyway.
With the world in shock, the White House giving a staunch defense of the president's controversial decision.
Paris represents a bad deal for this country. It doesn't mean that we're not going to continue the discussion.
But when pressed, the administration won't say if the president thinks climate change is even a problem. Yes or no? Does the president believe that climate change is real and a threat to the United States?
You know what's interesting about all the discussions we had through the last several weeks have been focused on one singular issue. Is Paris good or not for this country?
But on climate change, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
And the press secretary says he still hasn't talked to the president about his campaign claim that climate change is a hoax.
I have not had an opportunity to have that discussion.
But from Mexico City to New York to Paris itself, buildings bathed in green in support of the agreement. The new French leader has made clear he's not afraid to take on Trump, admitting this white-knuckle handshake was not innocent. Late Thursday, making this rare address in English.
Make our planet great again.
The president insists he's fulfilling his promise to put America first, and many of his supporters in coal country agree.
He's keeping his promise that he's going to help get the coal jobs back, help people get back to work, and that's what we need anywhere in this country.
But many business leaders say sticking with the agreement would have encouraged new types of jobs. The CEO of General Electric tweeting industry must now lead and not depend on government.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
That's not how the mayor of Pittsburgh sees it.
We are not this backwater little town that is suffering and needs to look at our past for our future.
He's now one of more than 80 mayors and at least 3 governors who say they will abide by the deal, despite the president.
That was Mary Bruce reporting. As early as next week, a former high school football player could be back in Williamson County nearly 3 years after a jury sent him to prison on child sex abuse charges. Greg Kelly is moving from his prison cell in Huntsville to the Williamson County Jail in Georgetown. This after Kelly's conviction was called into question after the announcement of another suspect. The move is to get him closer to his lawyers as they fight to get his conviction overturned. Once he's back in Central Texas, he'll stay behind bars unless a judge and the DA decide he can be released on bond. But the DA says it's just too early to make that call. The investigation into the alternate suspect, Jonathan McCarty, continues. McCarty was Kelly's friend and the son of the daycare owner where authorities say the child abuse happened. A lot of people excited to see Wonder Woman this weekend, but a controversy involving the movie is taking the spotlight here in Austin. First, a sexist letter was sent to the Mayor Steve Adler, about the women-only screening at the Alamo Drafthouse. Now, a New York attorney has filed a complaint with the city. KVUE's Michael Perchik spoke with the lawyer.
Stephen Clark has filed a second complaint with the city of Austin over those all-woman screenings. He said he doesn't have an issue with what the event represents, but about who can attend.
Mankind, Diana.
On Friday, Wonder Woman hit theaters nationwide. And on Tuesday night, at the Alamo Drafthouse Ritz location in Austin, 2 of those theaters will be woman-only screenings. But to Stephen Clark, an Albany, New York law school professor, that is problematic.
The problem isn't the theme. The problem is the exclusion in terms of who can participate if they want.
After hearing of the screenings, Clark logged onto the Drafthouse's Facebook page and read some of the replies to viewers. Those messages led Clark to take action.
It was determinative. That made the difference. Their response made the difference.
In response, Clark filed a complaint with Austin's Equal Employment and Fair Housing Office.
Screening a film for a particular group based on one of these protected traits, race or sex or religion or disability or sexual orientation or gender identity, what have you, is problematic and probably illegal.
So what does the code say? Chapter 5-2-4 states a person is entitled to the full and equal enjoyment of goods, services, facilities, accommodations of a public accommodation, etc., without discrimination based on their sex, gender identity, and a variety of other factors. It specifically lists a movie theater as a public accommodation. Alamo Drafthouse has declined to comment, but told us after the screenings were announced that their intention is not to alienate any group, but to celebrate a demographic they're really proud of. The Alamo Ritz is also planning on staffing the screenings with only women. It is important to note that this is a civil complaint, which is not a lawsuit. This story has received a ton of buzz on social media. Barbara writes, "I was waiting for this. Many women would be unhappy and declare it sexist if there was a men's-only movie night." Christine writes, "Waste of time, money, and resources over a movie and one-day promo. Gotta love it." Michael Perchik, KVUE Daybreak.
And looking for something to do this weekend, we'll round up the kids and fishing poles because you don't need a license to fish this weekend. That's right, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department will allow Texans a free fishing day, which means you can catch fish at any of the state's lakes or ponds, and no licenses are needed today, just as long as you abide by the state's bag and size regulations. To find out what those rules are, head over to KVUE.com. Big stars in Manchester this morning for Ariana Grande's charity concert this weekend. When and where you can watch it coming up. Plus, investigators still looking into who's behind the deadly attack at a Philippine casino. Why they believe the attack may not be terrorism. Your daybreak time, it is 7:11. Taking a live look outside from our tower camera. Woo, it is a cloudy morning. We'll be right back.